Amazon has announced big plans today for its long-anticipated and highly publicized second headquarters. It's been called HQ2. The new headquarters will be split between two locations. One of them is going to be in New York City. The other one is going to be in the Washington, D.C. suburb of Arlington. It's in Crystal City, Virginia. The new locations are going to join the existing headquarters in Seattle. The company's offering $5 billion in investment in the new headquarters locations and a total of 50,000 jobs, paying an average of $150,000 per year. The cities that applied for the new headquarters offered all sorts of financial incentives like tax breaks and free land. Effectively, Amazon has split the baby, 25,000 jobs going to Long Island City, 25,000 jobs going to Arlington. Amazon also announced a new operations center will open in Nashville, Tennessee. The company's going to hire 5,000 workers there. And here's where the rubber hits the road. Amazon says it's going to spend $5 billion on these new facilities. In return, it's negotiated more than $2.8 billion in incentives from New York, Virginia, and Tennessee. That's taxpayer money, as you know. And here's the state-by-state breakdown. New York is giving Amazon $1.85 billion worth of stuff. Virginia, $819 million. Nashville is promising $102 million. This leaves a lot of people wondering about the tech giant's decision for the contest-like approach. They pitted 238 cities and states against one another in a search that only resulted in choosing two remarkably obvious East Coast hubs, one outside of or just adjacent to the nation's financial capital and one adjacent to the nation's political capital. Now that they've settled on the locations that aren't in any desperate need of an investment like this, some critics are labeling the entire venture as corporate welfare. The practice of offering incentives in exchange for a company to move in or to stick around is fairly common. One conservative estimate suggests that cities and states give away $70 billion every year when they offer concessions to companies in exchange for promised jobs or other economic activity. Joining us now is Derek Thompson. He's a staff writer at The Atlantic. He's been covering this very well.
Can I go?
Yeah, please. You've had a lot to say about this, and I like it.
We've sat here for this beauty pageant for the last year and a half, and this idea, where are they going to go? What city are they going to reinvigorate?
What will they change? Yeah.
Okay? And it's like Jeff Bezos chose the two prettiest girls in school already, Washington and New York. So walk me through any of the mindset that they've shared, because from my perspective, I'm like, wow. So 22 cities have given you an insurmountable amount of data about the demographics, about every possible consumer in that region. And you gave them nothing back but a sorry, Charlie, I'm picking NYC anyway.
You set this up perfectly. So there are several layers of absurdity here, but let's take two. On the first layer of absurdity, why does it take 13 months and 238 city applications to learn that a retail, media, and advertising company just maybe should expand its footprint in New York City, the capital of retail, advertising, and media? It's such an obvious decision. I think a lot of people feel like they were hoodwinked. They especially feel like they were hoodwinked because if you're going to spread out the map and say we could go to Toledo, we could go to Columbus, we could go to Chattanooga, we could go to Raleigh, and then you end up saying, no, we're going to go to, as you put it so well, the financial capital and the literal capital, where, by the way, Jeff Bezos already owns a mansion and the city newspaper, the Washington Post. That's the first layer. But as you alluded to, there's a second layer here, and that's that every year Americans spend $70 to $90 billion in order to move headquarters within the U.S., to steal jobs from one state and put them in another state. That's more than the federal government spends on education or infrastructure.
Wow.
This is an absurd waste of national resources.
What is the rationale Amazon is giving?
Well, the rationale that Amazon is giving is that there's several things that they're saying. One thing that they're saying is that they need to expand in order to be a truly national company, right? But I don't really buy that. You can, one headquarters, two headquarters, three headquarters. By the time you get to 7 headquarters, it's not a headquarters, it's a hydroquarters.
We'll accept the premise of 2 headquarters. Why are they saying now New York and Washington? I mean, if they wanted to be on the East Coast, if they wanted to be on the water,
there are places that could have been revitalized.
You got Baltimore between the two of us, a city that could use revitalization.
From the Canadian border to Florida, there are options on the East Coast which have really benefited from, which would benefit from 25,000 jobs.
At the end of the day, this is a really, really common thing that happens with corporate subsidies. What happens is a company like Boeing will say, I want to stay in Seattle, but I'm pretty sure that if I dramatize my willingness to leave Seattle, the state of Washington will give me $8 billion in subsidies, and so I can stay in getting what I wanted to anyway. A lot of times, these companies are essentially creating what you might call a false marketplace, to create a silent bidding war to pay them billions of dollars to do that which they were going to do anyway. Jeff Bezos was going to expand in New York City anyway. He wanted to live, to spend time in Washington, D.C. with his newspaper and his mansion.
Why not do it in a way that they
created brilliantly, I think, a public, fake marketplace to raise the bidding price so that Amazon could collect not $1 billion, not $2 billion, but just almost $3 billion.
We can accept the argument that Arlington and Long Island City didn't really need this. These are places that were already growing, already well established. That said, people always say when you give people money to build a stadium, it never pays you back. I'm not sure that's true. Sometimes it revitalizes an area. Is there going to be payback for this? Is it worth the money that New York and Virginia have given Amazon for this, and Tennessee?
The short answer is sure, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Amazon is an enormous trillion-dollar company, but who knows if it's going to grow by 50,000 jobs that are going to be in New York City and Washington, D.C. specifically. You're right, of course, that there are many times that a company can come in and be a hub, create the beginning of a cluster that can revitalize a city or help grow it. But sometimes it just doesn't happen. I mean, the state of Wisconsin is paying Foxconn $4 billion for like 10,000
For a factory that may or may not even show up.
For a factory that might not show up, and if it does show up, might be run by robots.
Correct.
So that's Wisconsin. You look at
Just ask
Washington.
what happened to Pennsylvania. I know we have no time, but I have
Hershey,
to ask
Pennsylvania,
this.
2013. Foxconn was supposed to have a factory there. Anybody from Hershey, Pennsylvania, please let me know if there's a Foxconn factory in Hershey.
Here's one thing that's different that I want to point out.
Harrisburg, probably, but they're next to each other.
Boeing, you could say, wants to have another headquarters. They're going to do this beauty pageant. If you ask me the CEO of Boeing's name, I have no idea. Jeff Bezos is the richest man in modern history. Some say this man wants to run for president. Who are the advisors at Amazon? Why would Jeff Bezos
this is a good idea.
make a move like this when, let's say, he did go to West Virginia or he did go to Toledo and could actually be transformational?
If you ask me, this is a public relations disaster. Amazon didn't have to do this. Amazon could have done the obvious thing. They could have gone to de Blasio and Cuomo and said, look, please kind of quietly give us a $1.5 billion subsidy to move to Long Island City. They could have done that, but instead they thought that they could create this sort of Cinderella contest, but they put the slipper on the richest princess and they left Cinderella hanging on the
Cinderella's
dance floor.
still cleaning the
It's
fire
a public relations disaster.
Except, of course, Cinderella's mother told her before she died two things: be brave and be kind. And Cinderella might still be upstairs sweeping. I think it'll pay off for her in the end.
Derek, good to talk to you. Thank you so much.
I bet you didn't know that about Cinderella.
I didn't know that about Cinderella. Things I learn from you every day.
I do know those two things.
Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.